Hey everyone, in this video we will explore profit and loss. So in order to understand the concept of profit and loss, we have to have a look at two really important concepts, and that's cost price and selling price. So cost price is the total cost that is required to produce a product. So this is about the production. So for example, it costs $5 to produce a whiteboard marker. A selling price is the price of the product is sold for. So the whiteboard marker is sold for $8.50, and this selling price generally contains the total cost price of production as well as labor that goes into it. So the key question is, why is the selling price higher than the cost price? Well, the selling price should take into consideration the wage of employee, property rents, utility costs, such as phone, electricity, gas, and insurance. So it's really important to take these into consideration when coming with an overall selling price. So these overall cost price and selling price determine whether we have a profit or whether we suffer a loss. So a profit is when the product is sold for a higher price than the cost price. So the rule to determine this is profit equals to selling price take away the cost price. Now the loss is when the product is sold at a lower price than what it cost to make that product. So the rule for this is loss equals to cost price take away selling price. Ideally, we want to have a profit, not a loss. So to prevent from having a loss, what can we do? Well, a profit margin could be used to prevent suffering a loss. A profit margin, there's also a loss margin, of course, as well, but essentially it's when the product is sold at a certain percentage of the cost price. A profit margin is when the selling price is increased. So for example, a store has a profit margin of 70%, and this means that the sale price is marked up, so it's increased by 70% from the cost price. A loss margin is when the sale price is actually reduced. So for example, a loss margin of 3% means that the selling price is reduced by 3% from the actual cost price. So let's have a look at a few examples. Manny operates a sports store at a fixed profit margin of 70%. For how much would Manny need to sell a pair of running shoes that cost him $80? So to start off with, we need to write down what the cost price is. So cost price equals to $80. And secondly, we need to write down what the profit margin is. And that's 70%. Now, next we need to find what the new percentage of the selling price is, and this should include the profit margin. So the new percentage of the selling price. So this is going to be 100% of the cost price plus 70% of the profit margin. So that's a total of 170%. Next, we need to find the selling price. Now, the selling price is going to be 170% of $80. Now, 170% is 170 over 100. Of means multiply, and we're multiplying that by 80. So over here, 170 divided by 100 is 1.7. Times that by 80, and that gives us $136. So that is the new selling price. So the next example is Soliana has bought a MacBook Air for $1,500 and has sold it for 15% loss 2 years later. So what's the selling price? And this question over here is typically a loss margin question, given Soliana is losing 15% of the selling price, of the cost price, sorry. So the cost price is $1,500, and there's a loss of 15%. So the new percentage of the selling price is 100% of the cost price, take away 15%, and that is 85%. So that's what it's going to be sold for. So it's going to be sold for 85% of the original cost. So the selling price is 85% of the original price, which is 1,500. Again, percentage means over 100, of means multiply. And over here, 85 over 100 is 0.85, times that by 1,500, and that gives us 1,275. So lucky last, Soliana sold her laptop for $1,275. The next concept we will have a look at is calculating the percentage of a profit. Now there's two ways to go about this. The most common way is the very first way, and that's percentage profit in terms of cost price. We generally take this in terms of cost price, and the formula for that is profit equals to profit, now that's in dollars, over cost price, and again that's in dollars, and we're timesing that by 100. Now there is a second way of finding the percentage profit, and that's in terms of selling price, but we don't often use this. And the rule for this is profit equals to profit, again in dollars, but this time it's in terms of selling price. And again, it's in dollar. I'm going to times this by 100. All right, let's have a look at a few examples. It says calculate the percentage change, profit or loss, when a $30 becomes $37.50. Now clearly that's going to be a profit because it's an increase. The selling price has been increased from the original cost price of $30. And part B says $56 becomes $44. So the cost price is larger than the selling price, so that's a loss question. So let's start off with part A. Part A says $30 becomes $37.50, so we know that's a profit. So let's find what the profit is. The profit is $37.50 take away $30, so there's $7.50 profit. Now that's step one, and step two, we need to find the percentage profit. And that is, remember, the profit in dollars, which is $7.50 over the cost price that we generally look at, and that's 30, and times that by 100%, and that gives us 25%. Now the next example is in terms of loss, so we need to find what the loss is. And to do that, it's $56 take away 44, so we're at loss of $12. Now that's part one, and part two is to find the percentage loss. Again, that's $12 over 56, the original amount, times by 100%, and that gives us 26.785%. Now, in senior math, we generally round to 2 decimal places. So our final answer, unless specified otherwise, should be rounded to 2 decimal places. It's 26.79%. Now, over here in the very last example, we're having a look at profit percentage in terms of cost price and selling price. So it says a vintage notebook which costs $16 to make is sold for $45. It says A, find the profit. So we know that the profit is selling price minus cost price. So I'm just going to write SP for selling price and CP for cost price. And that's 45 take away 16. And that gives us $29. It's part A. Part B says the profit is a percentage of the cost. So we're looking at percentage cost, or percentage profit cost. So on the numerator, we're going to have $29. On the denominator, we're looking at the cost. So it has to be out of the cost, and the cost was 16, and we're timesing that by 100%. And that gives us 181.25%. So the selling price is actually 181.25% greater than the cost price. And part C, we are having a look at the percentage profit in terms of selling price. Now again, it's the profit 29, this time it's over the selling price, which is 45, and again times that by 100%, and that gives us 64.44%.